Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to 2A News Now. And here at 2A News Now, you get your Second Amendment news straightforward and to the point with no BS added in. Do you guys remember the gun-hating governor of New Mexico, a while ago self-imposing a carry ban in part of the state? And now her self-imposed carry ban is going before the state Supreme Court. Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham's public health order barring concealed carry in parks and playgrounds in Albuquerque and Bernalillo County went under the microscope on Monday morning as the 5 justices on the New Mexico Supreme Court heard oral arguments in a case challenging the governor's authority to issue a public health emergency on gun violence she unilaterally imposed as part of her orders. The governor's orders are also being litigated in federal court, but the state-level challenge, known as Amdor versus Grisham, focuses on whether the governor has the power under the state's Public Health Emergency Response Act to declare an emergency on gun violence, as well as whether the specific provisions of her executive order violate the rights of New Mexico residents, whose right to keep and bear arms is protected not only by the Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, but also by Article 2, Section 6 of New Mexico's state constitution. There are basically 3 questions at the heart of the Amdor case. Does the governor have the authority to declare a public health emergency? Is it a legitimate emergency? And do the governor's actions go too far and violate the civil rights of New Mexico residents? The justices peppered attorneys for both sides with some difficult questions, asking the plaintiff's attorney, representing the National Rifle Association, the Republican and Libertarian parties, and several individuals, including members of the legislature, gun owners, law enforcement, and a gun store owner, why the courts should get involved, given the state legislature wrote the statute that can be read to give Grisham almost open-ended authority to declare anything in an emergency. The governor's attorney, who insisted the Grisham's carry ban was nothing more than an inconvenience, was grilled about whether Grisham's order really does comply with the statute, which limits emergencies to the occurrence or imminent threat of exposure to an extremely dangerous condition or a highly infectious toxic agent, include a threatening communicable disease that poses an imminent threat of substantial harm to the population of New Mexico or any portion thereof. Is gun violence an imminent threat or a chronic condition? Justice David K. Thompson, that Grisham has already renewed her orders 4 times and wondered if that isn't a sign that Grisham is trying to impose a permanent policy through executive, not legislative action. Chief Justice C. Shannon Bacon wondered just how far the governor would go if she, for instance, declared a public health emergency for drunk driving. Could Grisham suspend the right to drive in a county because of its high rates of DUI? In that case, almost anything could be a public health emergency if the court adopts the governor's perspective. And Chief Justice Bacon repeatedly asked where the line should be drawn, even if the state Supreme Court concludes that Governor Grisham has the authority to declare a public health emergency over broad and long-lasting public concerns, as opposed to the sudden dispersal of toxic chemicals or even a pandemic. The justices may decide that the governor's power does not extend of stripping people of their Second Amendment rights. In places where legislature hasn't prohibited the practice, concealed carry holders aren't the ones driving violent crime in New Mexico, let alone anywhere else. And the governor's office couldn't document any cases of concealed carry holders being arrested or charged with any act of gun violence in a park or playground in Albuquerque or Bernalillo County, either before or after the governor issued the mandate. It's hard to know how much we can read into the questions that were posed by the state Supreme Court, but I didn't get the idea that the state Supreme Court was ready to rubber stamp Grisham's carry ban, with Chief Justice Bacon promising to deliver a verdict. As time permits, we could be waiting a while for the answer to the questions raised in today's oral arguments. In meantime, the federal litigation has moved to the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals in the time being, with the next step with We the Patriots versus Grisham and Fort versus Grisham, a hearing on the plaintiff's request for an injunction against Grisham's current order. No hearing date has been set as of today, so gun owners in the Albuquerque area who want to lawfully carry in order to protect their kids in parks and playgrounds still run the risk of getting a citation and the possibility of a $5,000 fine if it's discovered they have a concealed firearm, at least for the time being. Governor Grisham's original public health order barring concealed carry was for all of Albuquerque and Bernalillo County. But when she received a lot of blowback from the people in the community and gun rights organizations, and those organizations threatening to sue her, she redid her order and made it just for parks and playgrounds. And now finally it's before the state Supreme Court. And hopefully all, or at least the majority, of New Mexico's Supreme Court ruled that Grisham's carry ban in Albuquerque and Bernalillo County is unconstitutional. And like I said earlier, the problem isn't with law-abiding concealed carry holders. It's the criminals that don't follow the laws. As always, I would really like to hear your thoughts about today's video in the comments section. And I really do appreciate everybody's support with the channel. You guys are always crushing it by liking, sharing, and subscribing and hitting those post notifications. And I invite everybody to come on back and watch my next video.